This is my Phasmophobia ghost tier list as someone who has almost 300 hours in the game. To start off, immediately, I'm going to put a Wraith on S tier. Wraith is so easy to identify because if it doesn't ever step in the salt, but you see it walking around the salt on dots or motion sensor, it is 100% a Wraith. I'm immediately putting Demon in the D tier. I have died many times to a demon who thinks it's very cute to hunt within the first 2 minutes of the game. A good way to tell if it is a demon, if you incense the ghost, a demon will wait 90 seconds to hunt instead of 60 seconds to hunt. I'm gonna go B tier with the Djinn. The Djinn is easy to identify because that's the only ghost that will not turn the breaker off, but they get pretty quick. And it is kind of hard to escape a Djinn sometimes, so I'll put them in the middle because they're really not too bad. Poltergeist is always going to go S tier for me. I love doing Polty piles and watching them launch things across the map. It's so funny every time, and they always are causing some kind of ruckus in the house, and they're really not too aggressive. They can be, but they're usually not. The Mimic is another D tier ghost for me. I hate the Mimic. The Mimic will always give orbs even on no evidence runs. It is really, really easy to get it confused with another ghost who has similar evidence, and also it will mimic the ghost behaviors. It does change behaviors every 30 seconds to 2 minutes, so it could mimic multiple different ghosts during one match. I'm gonna put Banshee on C tier simply because I have been the bait one too many times. I'm always the Banshee target. An easy way that you can tell if it's a Banshee is if when you see it on dots, it will run straight at you. It will run straight at one player. And during hunts, it will also target one player. It will completely ignore any other players that are around. There is a 33% chance you can get the Banshee scream on Parabolic. I've literally only gotten it twice, so it's not really a good identifier for it. Myling is also going to go on the D tier. Myling is one of the fastest ghosts. It can get up to 3.7 meters per second. Revenant hunts at 3. So the Myling is pretty fast, and you're not outrunning that thing 9 times out of 10. I will put an Onryo on the A tier. I have died to this ghost quite a bit of times, but the Onryo test is one of the easiest tests you can do in Phasmophobia, and Onryo will hunt after blowing out 3 firelights. So it's a pretty easy ghost to identify if it comes down to that ghost or another one. They can be pretty aggressive, though. They have caught me one too many times. I'm also going to put the Mare on the A tier. The Mare is not a bad ghost, and it's an easy one to identify. A lot of these ghosts are actually pretty easy to identify once you learn their tells. Mares will turn lights off. They don't like lights. So if you turn a light on and a ghost immediately flips it off, there's a high chance that it's a Mare. Goryo is going to go B tier. It's not really too crazy of a ghost. However, one of its evidence is dots, but you can only see those dots on the camera. So you have to be out of the room watching it on the camera. And sometimes it can take a really long time for the Goryo to actually present its dots. A Shade is going on the C tier. A Shade is a shy ghost that really doesn't do interactions in front of you too much, and that can make it a challenge sometimes to get evidence, because one of its evidence is EMF 5 and also ghostwriting. So a Shade can make it hard to get interaction pictures because it's not going to do much while it's around you, and sometimes they're not too shy and they will do interactions around you, which can throw you off and lead you into thinking it's another ghost. I'm going to put the Yuri in the C tier as well. The Yuri will drain your sanity very, very fast, so it has a higher chance of hunting faster because your sanity will go down faster. Revenant is also a D tier ghost. It is a fast ghost, it is a mean ghost, and that's one that most people are not outrunning. There is an achievement on Phasmophobia to escape a Revenant. Again, with another D tier, I'm putting the twins there. I hate the twins. For the longest time, my most deaths in the game was to the twins. The double interactions are extremely misleading. You can never really tell, is it the twins? Is it something else? Is it the mimic? You never really know with the twins because they're always doing something everywhere in the house. The twins is technically one ghost, but if it spawns in one room, it can be the fast twin and it will hunt quickly. Or if it spawns in another room, it can be the slow twin and hunt slowly. Phantom is an A tier ghost. I do like the Phantom. They can be aggressive. I've I've seen some phantoms that will hunt you down for sure. But a trick for the phantom is if you take a picture of it and you can't see the ghost in the photo, but it says you got a ghost photo, it is a phantom. They will disappear as soon as you take a picture of them, whether it's on dots, an event, during a hunt, you won't be able to see it. Deogen is going in the B tier. The Deogen is very slow. The Dio is very, very slow, so it's easy to outrun this ghost. It's easy to get away from it. It's easy to get your objectives for like a picture and whatnot on it. It does have an interesting sound on the spirit box if you're able to hear it, kind of how the Banshee has a scream on Parabolic. I'm going to go ahead and put Oni in D tier as well. I got a lot of D tier ghosts. There are some ghosts I really don't like. Currently, my most deaths is to the Oni. I don't know why, but that ghost just keeps getting me. I've been struggling with it. I have nothing else to say about the Oni. A spirit is an S tier ghost. They're usually not too aggressive, but they can be if you spend too much time in the ghost room. They're known to defend their place of death. So that's not one that I've died to a whole bunch, so I think it's a pretty tolerable ghost. I'll go B tier with Hantu. Hantus can be aggressive. They are a little bit quick. They are faster when it's cold, and during a hunt you can see freezing breath coming out of the ghost model, so that's a tell for the Hantu. They're not really too bad. It's not as bad as a Revenant, but it's not as good as a Wraith. These last few here I'm kind of stuck on. These are honestly the ghosts that I struggle with the most, which is interesting that these are the last ones I have left. We will put the Thaye in the B tier as well. The Thaye starts out very fast, but it ages over time. So your first hunt with it may be a fast ghost, and then one of the last hunts, it could be very slow. A tell for the Thaye is if you have a Ouija board, ask its age randomly throughout the match, and if it keeps getting older, it's a tell for a Thaye. I'm putting Moroi in the C tier. I don't have a whole lot to say about this ghost because it is one that I do struggle with. Every time it's a Moroi, though, I feel like it is just so fast, and it is a targeter, kind of like a Banshee, and it gives me so many issues, and it always wants to kind of throw you off with the evidence. It'll give you a bunch of evidence and then stop doing anything for a while. I'm gonna put the Yokai in the C tier. The Yokai is more active when you're talking around it and has a high chance of hunting on you if you're talking around it, and it will just spawn right on top of you. That's a good way to get your crucifixes burned up, but also if you're talking near it, it is more likely to interact with the objects that you needed to interact with for evidence. So you have to kind of watch how much you talk when it's a yokai. I'll put Raiju in A tier. Raiju, they're not a super, super fast ghost. They can be quick, but that's only when there's active player equipment nearby. And it will cause a lot of electronic disturbances, so that's a good way to tell if it's a Raiju. I have the Obake in the B tier. The Obake is not a very fast ghost. It has some interesting tells, though, so if you get UV on it, which it has a guaranteed UV on Nightmare and Insanity, it could possibly have a 6-fingered handprint. It doesn't always have that. It's like a 12% chance. I've only ever gotten it once. Another way you can tell for the Obake is during a hunt, they will change the ghost models for a single blink. So for the worst ghosts in the game, we have the Demon, the Mimic, the Myling, the Revenant, the Twins, and the Oni, which I feel like anyone who has played this game for any amount of time could say that that's probably very valid. And in the top tier of the ghosts, we have Wraith, Poltergeist, and Spirit, just based on how easy it is to identify them and how they act. Let me know if you agree with this tier list at all. If you think that things should be moved around, let me know. Where would you put all of the ghosts out on your tier list? And let me know what your favorite ghost is in the comments.